We all have different routes and different paths that we've traveled, but we're all still fighting to be the best in our field.
What had got you into the industry? What was that key factor, that one thing that really interested you about what you're doing right now and got you to the place that you're at?
I always liked technology. That was something I always enjoyed. I taught myself SolidWorks, CAD, Revit.
From where I came from, I didn't know of anyone that went to college or graduated from college, so to see her pursue that, it really inspired me to pursue an education in architecture and interior design and learn as much as I could about the industry.
I think my dad planted the seed. He brought me around to job sites as a kid.
She was such an inspiration, made sure I networked with the right people, pushed me into BIM and VDC.
Tried on a HoloLens 1 and I quit law within the year. I said spatial computing is it for me.
Asked my calculus teacher in high school, what should I go to college for? And he said engineering, and I kind of just stumbled upon civil engineering and finally found the niche of BIM VDC and took off from there with laser scanning, the technology, and all the logistics side of it.
She actually taught me how to be present during those challenges and knowing the outcome that you want to achieve, but maybe you don't know the solution.
Gave me opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had. My teacher, she suggested me about the geodesy and I started researching about it. And my interest in construction really came from wanting to know how things came together. So as I would see construction, buildings going up, I wanted to understand that better.
Never have a path created for me, even though I've gone through the traditional roles and kind of the ladder.
I decided to go to a vocational high school, take technical drafting.
Before I joined Microsoft, I was the Director of Innovation and Emerging Technology for one of the largest privately owned general contractors here in the United States.
There's more opportunities that aren't showcased as much, and I think just teaching and constantly reaching and going through the education paths and going to colleges, going to technical schools, doing stuff like this, doing panels, showcasing women in the industry.
Can you say where you want to be in a year or 5 years, or where do you want to see this grow for your group?
My goal is to get the professional license, so I'm working towards that. I really want to also excel in my career and continue to grow.
I want to invest my time in and just finding those opportunities, and when they come up, to actually take advantage of those. I will be seeking to stay related to technology and digital transformation, closer to the design process. That is my passion.
You represent yourself wherever that is, so be proud of that. Be your best advocate.
Be that inspiration so that she can look up to you and say, I want to do what he's doing.
If we just keep working towards solutions and how we adapt to the new technologies, the sky's the limit.
Now it's time to go speak and let people know this is how we're going to do construction. This is working really well.
This is what I want to do, and this is what I can succeed at.
Don't climb the ladder, create the ladder.
Work twice as hard, prove what you need to prove, get your work done.
You're in this room for a reason, on this panel for a reason. So just having confidence in that and just being proud of who you are and what you've accomplished and where you want to go.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys all for joining us today on the Women in AEC and Technology panel. Very excited to be here again for a third year in a row. Thank you so much to Matt Bird and RCN for making women in AEC and technology a priority here at this conference. And thank you for taking the time to join us today. Very excited to be here. What I'd like to do is just start with brief intros. I will start since I'm moderating this panel. My name is Leslie Rosa. I am here with Navis. Woo! This is, again, like I said, my third year here, second year with Navis, and I'm just really excited to see how this panel has continued to grow over the years. Matt has made it a very big priority for the conference, and really excited to be here moderating this panel with knockout lineup of additional women up here with me. So we'll start on the right and just go around with brief introductions, a little bit about yourself, and then we will get into the presentation. The other thing I do want to mention before I forget, please use the QR code to send in questions. They come in live. I would love to see what questions are out there. Even if people can hear this out in the hallway, please send in your questions so that we can have some real-time conversation while we're up here. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
My name is Carolyn Stovall, and I'm trained as a union carpenter. I came up through the trades and the apprenticeship, and I joined JTM Construction as in their survey department as a party chief. And, you know, I'm not I don't come from a family of carpenters or a family of construction workers. And so my trade and my journey has been my own. It's something that I've chosen, and it's something that informs me in a really special way to be able to pursue a career in reality capture.
My name's Lissa Matoyer, and I am an owner's rep for Los Angeles Community College District, running the digital twin program. I work for Jacobs. I've been in the construction management industry for about 25 years now. I did come up in a contractor's family. Most of the males in my family are in construction. I am very passionate about moving the construction industry into Construction 4.0. That's my passion. And I'm also a doctoral candidate with an emphasis or my thesis in digital twin technology.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Wilmalis Borrero. I'm a project manager at Allen & Companies, surveyors, mappers, and geospatial services with base in Florida. Have been working directly in the surveying industry for about 10 years as a crew chief, CAD technician, and now as a project manager, and indirectly with public service in Puerto Rico as reviewer for surveying projects.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mylin Trong, and I am the Division Manager of Unmanned Laser Scanning for Regal USA. I've been with Regal for 13 years now. I know my baby face may not show that, but it's true. And I'm also very recently appointed to the Board of Directors for MAPS, which is an organization. The membership is actually the company organizations that are in the surveying and mapping industry, photogrammetry. So this is really exciting. It's my first time at RCN. It's not my first time speaking, but I just got nervous all of a sudden. You're doing great. But this is so exciting to be here with these strong women and showcasing our strengths and why we're here. My background is in electrical engineering. And my family, I'm first-born generation American. My parents' family on both sides were refugees from the Vietnam War, and they went to school here. You know, they came here with absolutely nothing and instilled hard work and leadership and growth to persevere through tremendous hardships. Ironically, they did mostly all go into engineering, so in some ways it did breed it into me. But you know, I knew nothing about LiDAR until I got into it, and it's just so exciting, the level of technology and the wide variety of applications. I feel like I'm talking too long in my introduction, but I'm just gonna channel this energy into this panel, and I can't wait to keep going.
Oh man, I can. Is it working?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I can keep up without. That's fantastic. Hi, everybody. My name is Aparna Krishnakumar. I'm here from Women in BIM, the regional lead for the Phoenix chapter. I come from a family where AEC was not really a thing. So the EC was not encouraged in the women of the family. So I am here to break that and be the black sheep. But as a Women in BIM rep, I am working with regional leads all over the world where we're instilling access to resources and education, not just for women already in the industry, but also those who want to join the industry, but also our allies as well. I am someone whose parents to this day describe me as she's an architect engineer. And so trying to debunk that is my goal here to, while I'm with Women in BIM.
Hi, I'm Eloisa Fernandez. I am a VDC Senior Specialist at Rogers O'Brien. I've been there for about 5 years and in the industry over 8 years. I have a passion for reality capture. I manage projects for our projects, and I've been around construction my entire life. I have immigrant parents as well, so I grew up around my dad, who's a framer, and I think we all kind of went in that direction as well for that reason. So I've always been excited about construction, and I want to help others be excited about it as well.
I'm Casey Kinney. I'm not going to bore you all with a second introduction. I'm going to keep it short because I was just on before this, but I work with Gilbane Building Company, and I'm a senior VDC manager there.
Awesome. Well, great round of intros. Thank you all so much. And I think that's a really great segue. I know Mylin and Carolyn, you guys both sort of touched on it, but would love to hear a little bit more about your experience as a woman in AEC and technology, and maybe just a little bit about some of the things that may have shaped or shifted your career in this space specifically. So no specific order, very candid. Feel free to pipe in when you like, but would love to hear a little bit more similar to how you were sharing previously as well.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start. You know, you might think that the job site would be not a very welcoming environment for females, but in my experience, it's been one of the most accepting and welcoming communities that I've been able to be a part of. The boots on the ground are a community that I have been just so lucky to be a part of. And because of those bonds that I've been able to build, I have connections that they benefit me, especially as I move up in my company, because I'm always going to be able to lean on those people. I have people that I can trust. I trust them. We've worked long hours together. We've built structures together. Building is the bedrock of construction. That's what the purpose is. Scanning is a tool. Scanning is an excellent tool that we can use. But as a GC, we need to build things cheap, and we need to build things well. We need to build buildings that are going to stand the test of time. We need to do it in a cost-effective way. And I can deliver information to the trades better because I understand what they're building and how they're going to go about it.
Excellent. Any others want to share their story a bit more?
I will. Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
So my first role when I started at Regal was I don't want to say just, but I was just a data processor, fresh out of college. I have an engineering degree. I graduated in 2010. So we were in a recession. I was just thankful to have a job. And so I go in and I'm like, I'm a quick learner. I knew nothing about LiDAR. They're like, okay, these are the buttons you click on. This is what you're trying to do. Align the data, register, control. I had no idea what a ground control point was. And I picked it up fast and I understood the reason why you were processing the data was, garbage in, garbage out. So it's the strength of the accuracy and the information you're getting, and then registering and, producing this point cloud and bringing it into various softwares to do your 3D models and all that. And so because I started from the ground up, then as I picked it up, I then transitioned into training and support manager because I had a grasp on that and I could convey it into a logical way where our end users, the ones that we were training, could pick it up and actually do the work that they were performing. And with that, I got to a point where I couldn't really do training and support at the same time. Couldn't be number one trainer while number one on support. So quite frankly, at that point, I did feel like I was getting split into two. And I went to my boss and I'm like, one or the other, what do you want? And he's like, have you thought about sales? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm an engineer. I was a Girl Scout for 3 years of my life and I hated selling cookies. And I was like, I don't know nothing about business or sales. What are you talking about? And he's like, no. It is about the relationships that you build, and you're a subject matter expert. And it's that information exchange and the real talk, more or less to say, is where you convey and build that relationship to which then results in the sale. And I'm like, okay, this seems questionable, but sure, I'm up for a challenge. Let's go for it. And 8 years later, I've been in the specific role that I'm in now, which is the division manager of a really up and coming environment of drone-based laser scanning. And for me, where my foundation when I started at the company was really aerial data registration. UAV, drones, all this is such a buzzword, no pun intended, but it is really a miniaturization of that technology. And the technology development is because of the components and that advancements for that miniaturization to then put into this new form factor. And then it's how many other ways can you use it? So like that level of excitement with my tech background has then, because I'm so excited about it, I want to tell everyone about it. And then I'm just building these relationships with these customers. Actually, some of them are here, maybe not in the audience, I don't know, but they're here at the show that I've known for, 10, 13 years. And it's just continuing on. And so they know that I'm not some sleazy salesperson coming in and be like, this is what you need to buy, and like, this is the commission I'm going to get, which I don't. But I've built that trust. And then once you build that trust with someone, then their world is your oyster, because they know that they can go to you as a resource. And that is what makes changes.
I also know a little bit of something about being excited and passionate about what you're doing. I love what I do, and it's just inherently something that I think comes across. I've heard so many comments this week, just how people know me and how I talk about what I'm up to at Navis, and it's genuine, it's authentic. And I also never thought I was going to be in sales. I actually never really thought I would be in laser scanning either. And RCN is actually the event, shout out Matt Bird, because he knows this. And actually the Women in AEC and Tech panel 3 years ago, that conversation and the women I met at that panel really inspired me to make a pretty significant shift in my career as well. And I think it's really imperative that we are constantly looking at that as far as, all right, what does light me up? What does get me really excited day in and day out? Because if you're doing those things authentically and with passion and with that energy, it's going to come back. And so I hope everyone here knows that, you know, how we operate, and hopefully how you operate as well, is authentic. And if you are excited about what you're doing, it will have impact. And I think that's really, really important. So I like that statement. And I also totally agree, because Navis #1 hype girl, I'm just going to keep saying that, but it's the truth. I love what I do, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it and be a part of this community and be a part of this industry. Great. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Any others want to share their story? Yeah.
I can actually share a little bit about my background. You might have heard a little bit earlier in my presentation, but it's kind of not a traditional route into construction. But I use computer science engineering degree out of school, and spent some time in the military. And when I got out of the military, I went to a bunch of different job hiring conferences just to see, did I want to continue in intelligence, or did I want to be more involved with the social aspects of being involved with people? Because if anybody that knows Intel, it's very secluded, very quiet, and like hush hush. So construction was a perfect realm for me. I was taken on by all of my experiences have been great, similar to a lot of you. The experiences, I don't want to say that any company that I was at was a bad experience. Every company, I learned something new, like something to bring into my toolbox of knowledge that I took with me to my next position. So I started off as a field engineer with the first company I was with when I was younger, out of the military, learned the basics of the field, and I took some community courses on the side. And then I moved into a different company, more getting into VDC, because they weren't doing much VDC at the time. I'm dating myself, sorry, when I was younger at that age. And so I moved into VDC that route. And at my most recent last company, I really am thankful for the knowledge and everything that I learned there, because that was a big laser scanning experience for me. I hadn't been much in the field with laser scanning and using tools and total stations. So I take that knowledge with me, and I'm so thankful for it into my new company now. And it's such a large company that I'm learning even more here. But I think everyone can speak to the actual people that we work with is really what makes it, right? Having that great group to work with. And I've had that at every position that I've held, including the military, which I think is great.
Excellent. Yeah, and sort of building on that as well, do any of you have any mentors that really stand out throughout your career, or your just life experience, that have really stood out as far as defining yourself as a woman in AEC tech, or in your industry or in your field? Would love to hear a little bit about that as well, if there's anybody that really stands out.
I do. Pardon my voice. I'm recovering.
It sounds great. I mean, really.
So like I said, I've been in the industry for about 25 years, and starting with my first job, I never actually wanted to be in construction. That wasn't my thing. Growing up, our house was, my dad was a contractor and then moved along as a public client. And so if you can imagine, the house was always under construction, which was really annoying. Drywall dust on everything. And so I have an undergrad in business administration. And once I was almost done with college, I decided, I'm not sure what I want to do, but okay, I'll just give it a try. There was a woman-owned firm, and I got on with that firm and became a document control manager. And lo and behold, I was very good at it. I guess I learned along the way with my family. And with that first job, back to mentors, my first boss was amazing. I don't think I really understood that he was a mentor, but he was a mentor to me. He was probably the best boss and the best mentor that I've had to date. But every subsequent position that I've moved to, I find someone, whether it be a boss, whether it be a coworker, whether it be someone kind of on the outside, but in the industry, I ask them to be my mentor. I'll identify something about them that I like, or the way they operate that's not like what everyone else does, and I'll ask them to mentor me. And it may be a couple months, it may be 6 months, it may be a year, and then I'll move on to another mentor. Even coaching, I've worked with 2 different executive coaches, and that's also really, really helpful as well. Kind of created I call them my board of directors, my colleagues, my people in the industry that know me, that challenge me, that question me, that keep me honest. And that's really been helpful through my career.
If I may sort of jump in. So we've heard 2 things. We've heard mentor and coach. I'd like to add another one in there, which is sponsor. Sometimes there are people at your current workplace or at some point in your life that are there to help support you, but they might not play that mentorship role. So for me, if I could share my experience, I've had one sponsor in my life and one mentor in my life, both of which are men. And my sponsor opened up doors that I never knew existed. And so that kind of helped trigger my path years ago to get into management pretty early on and be able to direct me with resources that I was still very new to. So I used to work at an engineering consulting firm, and for them, BIM was this brand new hot acronym, but they knew nothing more than the acronym itself. And so me, happy-go-lucky Abarna, walking in with school and ambition and all this stuff where I'm introduced to new technology, they just kind of plop me in there saying, you know what, you've got the most amount of knowledge technology-wise, help us get to where we are capable of going. And so my sponsor, I didn't know the term sponsor existed, but that's ultimately what he was. He supported me in being able to sometimes modify the verbiage that I would use to try and convince senior leadership on being able to take on a new tool, take on a new project, have that sandbox project that we can utilize this new tool for. When I was younger, of course, just like every naive person who's very early in their tenure would just get huff and puff and say, why don't they understand? But he helped me kind of modify the verbiage. And, he said, so write a proposal, show the pros and cons, talk about the pricing, talk about the benefits, show the potential ROI to leadership. They are numbers people. Be able to do that. And so as a sponsor, yes, he gave me this advice, but he also help push me to where I could be. He would set up calls with senior leadership that they might not have time for me if I'm the one asking for that meeting. But if he, as a VP, is asking for that meeting, they can't say no. And so he would give me the stage to say, Abarna, here you go. Here's your time. Talk to them and they'll listen to you. They'll have questions and don't be intimidated. On the flip side, my mentor, I meet with him every single month to this day, and I go with a different topic about something that is present at my time right now. So it might be a topic that's taking place in the industry, and I ask him, what are your thoughts on it? Or we were talking about something, let's say 6 months ago, and I have a progress report and I'll update him and then I'll ask him, where do you see the industry going? Are we on the right path? Because sometimes certain tools, they come out, and yesterday there was a presentation where there was the hype curve. when we see it, we're at that height, but then once we research it and we get ready for it, it kind of plateaus off. So that's part of the mentorship conversations too. And so with that, we've got the mentors, the sponsors, the board of directors. And for the board of directors one, there is an article by Forbes that talks about that. So for anyone who's interested, this is not gender specific. Anyone can apply this to their life. I highly recommend it. Just like every successful company has a board of directors, we can have one too for our own life to cover different topics. But I kind of wanted to put a plug in there. Also,
no, I was going to actually, that's a great add-in to the Women in BIM organization as a whole. And I know here in the US, it's still growing. I'm not sure if any of you are part of the Women in BIM program as well. I know you are, obviously. Obviously you are. But I think that's one of the unique things about the program as well, is that it's always looking to build that supportive network with like-minded individuals. But I think even I do the same thing within my organization as well, as I'm always looking for others that I can learn from. And as with the RCN, that's what we're all here for, is we're all looking to learn from others and build our network and continue to develop the skills that we may not be the best at, but can continue to grow and enhance.
Even if you don't call them a mentor, you can learn from everyone.
I love that. Yeah. And I also love the board of directors and all of the, it's really anyone that can help become part of your support network. And how can you do that? Is there any specific things that you all do, unless anybody else has anything to add on that topic?
I did want to say that I think it's amazing to hear from everybody, for the most part, that there are these mentorship programs and things within companies now, because I can speak from a bit of time ago where there was not, at least the company I was at, and to see how far we've come. And I know Gilbane really promotes and empowers women. And it's just really nice to hear about the mentorships and that you all have that in place, because I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, go ahead.
And on that note, so the mentoring that either I'm part of or that I either am a mentee or I mentor is not really corporate related or company related. I'll get a call from someone on my board of directors, and they'll say, "Hey, Lissa, you should talk to this person." And they're not assuming that I will mentor them. They just want me to talk to them because they know we probably have some personal, situation that's similar. And then I just take them under my wing and say, "Hey, do you want me to mentor you? Sounds like you need some help with this." And I just kind of pull as many in as I can with, my very busy schedule. But I enjoy it. I enjoy giving back. And it's part of me pushing, like I'd already mentioned, pushing this construction management industry into construction 4.0, where I firmly believe we need to be yesterday.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things, and I'll sort of shift the conversation to that, but talk a little bit about construction 4.0. Like, what does that mean? And what does that really look like from your perspective?
So, and this is my own definition of reading and school through my master's program and everything. It is utilizing all the data and technology that is there for us now. So if anyone's familiar with the third industrial revolution, and now we're at the fourth. Third started in 1960, and the fourth started in, I think it's like the turn of the 20th century. And the third brought automation and electronics, and the fourth brought cyber, physical, and digital technology. And the construction industry just kind of bypassed all that good stuff. They just kind of bypassed it. And I'm sensitive to say this, but the construction industry is a little bit archaic-ish. And we could be using all these tools way back in 1960 on, and we haven't. And so construction 4.0, and in my definition, is utilizing all those tools to become efficient, effective, and the best stewards of our clients' money and funds.
I like it. I'm here for it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, excellent. Okay. And as far as continuing that conversation, as far as I know that Gilbane, you had indicated, may have some initiatives to support mentorship, inclusivity, et cetera. Would love to hear, do the organizations you work for have something specific? Or is it something, as far as the audience members as well, what are your thoughts as far as supporting more women in AEC and tech and getting involved in the companies that you're working for, or even ones prior to the ones that you're currently at? Any commentary on that?
I like what you said about supporting women. We focused on mentors in our lives, and I think we need to shift the focus on how are we going to mentor others and improve the experience of others? How are we going to make it an environment that's welcoming to everyone? How are we going to help others succeed? In our team, we celebrate shared successes. As an apprentice, I not only wanted to be the best female apprentice, I wanted to be the best female or male apprentice. And with my team, if they're able to thrive and they're able to generate skills that, maybe they're better at some things than I am. And I love that because that makes me stronger. That makes us as a team stronger. And I know that I got to be a part of that. I was a stepping stone for them. So I think if we're able to bring more people, like you were saying, into your network, I would love to be in your network.
You're in.
Yes, I would love for you to mentor me, so that I can pass that knowledge.
You're done.
down.
You're a mentee. You're a mentee.
You're in. So it's both. It's both roles. I play both roles.
Yep. And I think the other part, the good point that you made with that as well, is we all have and can create some type of impact with this, right? Like we're all part of these organizations. It's the energy that we bring to the organization as well. And how can we help not only support one another, whether it be other females, but the other colleagues and individuals that you're working with? How can you help elevate them? How can you help them feel like they are part of the bigger picture and do have an actual impact on what they're doing, whether it's a project or a long-term sort of task that they are doing? We all have that opportunity, and seeking others out to continue that support and build up the internal alliance, I like to say, I think is an important part of that too.
Yeah. And we do that through practice.
Yes.
You model the behavior and you practice just like a professional ball player.
Yeah.
You practice, you model the good behavior, they'll follow.
Yeah.
I think it's important to make it in line with that is the more you do it, the more it becomes a habit, and then it is a habit, and then you don't think about it. So my boss now, she wasn't my boss when I started at the company, and over the course of time, she became my boss. But from the beginning, I always viewed her as like office mom because I would just tell her about everything, and she just, in her own way, guided me. She gave me feedback, and she doesn't have any daughters. I think she always wanted to have a daughter. So in my mind, I kind of treated her like maybe I'm like a surrogate daughter to her. And that really helped guide me professionally, but also in personal aspects of my life that I want to share, just general news. And so that knowing that I have that support system in place is so important, because we get so bogged as individuals in society. There's so many things, we're tied to our cell phones. We need everything instantaneous. Everyone needs something instantaneous from you. And so we're always multitasking. And then at some point we become cogs in our own lives, and we don't even live in the present. We just do the things because we know we need to do it, and we get disconnected from that. So we have a chance to take a step back and actually reflect on it. And how do we pay it forward? How do all of our actions, not only in our personal lives, but professional lives, how does that impact and make a difference in society? So for me, it's important for communication and building that teamwork structure within the company. And so when in the sales and marketing team, when someone closes a sale or some big news happens, everyone kind of applauds, because that's the typical result, is that you clap for whatever, and it gets to a point where you just mindlessly do it. It's because it's an auto response that you're supposed to do, but there's no cognizant aspect to it. And so when we are talking about ways to improve communication, don't laugh, or you can if you want to, but a scene came to mind in the movie Legally Blonde 2, where Elwood suggests the snap cup. And what is the snap cup? It is if you want to provide an accolade to someone in your team or whatnot, you write a little on a piece of paper and you write a little thing. And then once a week or something, you read off whatever the attribute is and everyone just gives snaps. And it's moment of recognition for that person for that accomplishment. Now, we don't have an actual snap cup at the company, but we definitely adopted snapping. So every time someone's bringing some good news, in our weekly sales meeting, we take a moment and we just snaps for insert name here. And it's that moment of it's a tangible thing you're doing and verbalizing that level of recognition. And so one of my colleagues, he's in Chile and he gets really into it and he does the whole mariachi snaps. And so his name is Claudio. And so to me, that's Claudio snaps. And it's just a moment, it's of lightheartedness, but in the end, you're cognizantly thinking about that individual and that accomplishment. And so it's a nice moment. And then it's oh, snaps for me or snaps for so-and-so.
I also like the pay it forward mindset. I mean, it's you never know how you may have an impact on someone else, and the way that you operate on a daily basis and the energy that you project out is really, really important. And I think it really does, especially in a virtual world. I talk to a lot of my colleagues through a screen almost every single day. And even on that type of level, you have to be really aware as far as how you're presenting yourself, how you're showing up. And I think that's a really good point too. Any other comments on that topic?
I would say when we're paying it forward and teaching others and kind of being mentors, there used to be sort of a mentality that it was hard for me, so it has to be hard for them.
Oh, good point.
I went through that, no big deal, they're going to have to go through it too. But I always like to talk about my failures and what went wrong for me. And I don't want that to happen to you. So I learned the hard way, but you don't have to.
Yeah. Is there anything that stands out in your career that has been something that's really impacted how you are operating now?
I think I lacked courage. I was pretty much afraid of my own shadow. But I learned that everyone's human and not being afraid to be yourself, not having to put up such a tough persona to be around, people, older people unlike myself. So I've learned that it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah. And as far as do you think that came from a place of, because women in AEC and tech, there's not a lot of us. Actually, I just did a quick quote or a stat. U.S. Bureau of Labor, 26% of AEC is women. So it's still low, but it's growing. Oh, wait, do you have an updated stat for me?
Oh, no, that was an update for me.
Oh, great. Okay. I was like, oh, okay. I'm not getting the right numbers here. But do you feel like it's because you've really had to pave your own way and it really was, there's not a lot out there as far as seeing others in this space? Was that something that maybe made you feel that way, or?
I think it's as simple as looking in the mirror or looking at a picture of a group, and I can see myself not like the others.
Yeah,
pretty easily.
Yeah,
when it comes to nationality or age and male or female.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You kind of push imposter syndrome on yourself. And you just have to just ask, what's that about?
Yeah.
Why do I not think I don't belong in this group?
Yeah, you belong. We all belong. And I think that was another question I had too, as far as, do you feel like that there has been a shift at all since when you started in your career to where we're at now?
In terms of imposter syndrome? Or?
No, and just in terms of, hopefully you've grown a little bit from the imposter syndrome, but as far as women in AEC and tech and in the fields that you're working in, do you feel like there's been any shift over the years since you started as far as seeing more diversity in the projects that you're working on and the people that are getting hired into your companies? Have you seen a significant shift? Do you feel like anything has changed at all? It's flatlined?
I think it's, well, for surveying, on my case, I think it's kind of a flat line. When I graduate, we were just 4 women and 25 of the men. And right now, we are just 3 surveyors and a lot of surveyors and other technology, people in technology. And also, we saw it here yesterday, 7 surveyors and just 1 woman.
Yeah.
It's about, I don't know, near the 15%. And it's, for me, I think it's more or less flat.
What?
I see in academia, I see a lot more women coming out of school. I was in the College of Engineering, the construction management program. There's a lot of women in there. So I do see a lot more coming out of school. I do see through the profession. I think it's, I don't know if I want to say this, but maybe just more generally accepted. You're seeing more women out in the workforce, period. And because of that, it kind of just trickles into, for me, construction management industry.
I can also, from my personal experience, and I'll speak from the Canadian side because I am originally Canadian, I'm starting to see more women enter the industry because there are more moms that were in the industry, whether they were the architect, the engineer, working at a contracting firm. And our dads are also seeing what's going on in the workforce. So mom and dad are playing the role model for a lot of children. And so for the children, they're finding it easier to enter the industry or even think about it, to enter the industry. It's no longer taboo to go into that. So for me, I had to break that. No, I'm not a mom, but I'm a cousin. I do have several cousins who are now entering college, university, and for them, it's an option. Construction management is an option for them, whereas before it was just, nursing or any other medical profession, business, teaching, so on and so forth. And so now they're able to ask me questions comfortably to say, what was it like for you to get into this industry? What did you learn from it? What should I do? What should I not do? And now they have me as a trusted resource to be able to answer those questions. And then I can help guide their path. That being said, we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of conversations to be had because kids going from 16 onwards, they're still not sure what they want to do in life. There's too many options out there. We were talking about influencers earlier. That breaks bounds on a whole other level. And so when we're looking at the traditional roles, having that conversation, take your kid to work day. I don't know if it exists down here. It's not up in Canada. But being able to show them, hey, this exists and there's a path you can take. There are programs out there. If you're curious, you can try them out and we can connect you to somebody to ask. If I don't know anybody, I can go to my colleague here and be like, hey, can you answer a couple questions and create that sense of comfort? And so for my own personal experience, I am seeing more just thanks to our parents and them being able to say, okay, I've gone through the hardships. I've learned some lessons and I'm going to share those lessons. You're still going to experience a bit more, but it'll be a little bit easier for you. There are more professors that are going to be more understanding or are women. And so there's people already in certain positions that makes it normal to treat it as any other job.
Love it. And I think the more that the younger generation can see it already happening and it continuing to grow, that's just another step in the right direction. So
It's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better.
I mean, I'd like to say too, 14 years ago, this is outside of VDC, but I didn't see female superintendents all the time. And I see a lot at Gilbane Company and it's cool. It's really cool where they've come, and VDC, same thing. There's a lot more females. We just, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we had a peer group where we brought all VDC together and there's a great percentage of women there.
Love it.
So it's great.
That's awesome. Any other comments?
I just want to add on, like you touched base on, getting the information to kids. And I agree with that. Kids are our future because they are the next generation. And if we don't start from the ground up, we're just going to keep reinventing the wheel. Why are we keep doing the same thing over? We're never going to grow. But starting from the ground up, we've got get kids into surveying. There's just proponents for STEM education and making it normal. It's not taboo that, when I was a kid, I really excelled in math, but I was like the weird firstborn generation American. I grew up outside of Chicago. So I was like the token Asian. And I got used to that because that was all I knew. But I don't want that to be the norm. It should be the norm to be passionate about math, science, engineering, technology. I wanted to be an astronaut. Now I'm kind of terrified, but but space exploration is so cool. And that's actually why I got into, not why I got into LiDAR, but why I got into engineering is because I wanted to do something in optical engineering. I was like, laser-based communication is the way of the future. I'm like, I don't know what I would be involved in, but to me, that was like a future path. And so I saw that and I took that and ran with it. And having that foster and that excitement can, like, if someone squashed it down, then I probably wouldn't have gone that way. But because my dad, who also is an engineer, was like, my entire life, he's like, you're going to be an engineer. You're going to be an engineer. Like, so me being the stubborn person that I am, I try to break the mold. And I was like, I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm going to do something else. I was like, I want to be a musician or something. I don't know, something totally left field. But in the end, it's all stemmed from whatever you're passionate about. And when it's fostered and it's nurtured, you naturally gravitate towards it. So if we nurture that in the kids now, as we all become mothers or aunts, auntie to your best friend's kids, however you want to do it. But as long as we foster that from the ground up, then the kids today will carry that on in the future and it will be normal. And then we'll just have more and more women in the workforce, in leadership positions. And then it's not taboo. It's not the cause for, ooh, she's a woman leader. It's like, okay, so is Bob. I mean, like, it doesn't matter. It's a person who is excellent at what they're doing. And then that's why they're in that position.
Yeah. I'll also add a little plug. It's also a reason why Autodesk provides free access to their software for students so that they have the ability to learn things. So you don't, mom and dad don't need to spend so much money trying to get a license for them to learn AutoCAD, Revit, Recap, whatnot. So I've come across so many individuals who have told me that while they were working from home, their kid was over their shoulder watching what they do, saying, this is so cool. What is this? And so they didn't know that students have free access. Once we told them, they used their student credentials to get it. And now they're exploring, they're trying different things. And they're looking at career paths that incorporates that software. So it's kind of a reverse, if you will, but it still provides that opportunity. So I just wanted to mention that in case anyone didn't know.
If your kid likes Roblox, they'll like building a house in Revit.
There you go.
So I do want to be sensitive of time. Oh, did you have something else to add?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to what Mylene was saying regarding children and seeing women in places of leadership. I think one very large point, and maybe we haven't hit it just yet, and I'm not sure what time clock we're on for this.
Matt said we had the time. We're just
is women need to be at the table. And in my experience, in my humble experience, I've had to fight every day for 25 years to stay at the table, to actually have a seat at the table. And that is, how do we make sure we have more than one seat at the table? And how do we make sure we are kept at the table? I don't know that we've cracked that nut yet, but we have to be at the table in order to see women in leadership positions and continue, all the way up through these companies.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not just teach them. It's just that we show that we're there and we stay in success, so they can see on us that person, and then they can also with the education role on the industry.
So I do want to get to some of the questions that came in. I wrote down quite a few more. We're not going to get to all of them, but I would love to take some of the ones that came in. So thank you so much for those of you that submitted questions. I'll get to them. Don't worry. And as far as building on some of these topics that we talked about, one of the things that someone had sent in is my daughter wants to follow me into the AEC industry. This is a gentleman, but I worry because I still see a lot of the good old boys club at times. What advice would you give them to avoid this pitfall?
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
At your current workplace, try to be that change so that you're now making a change in the environment that you have, because that environment is ultimately going to trickle over to other firms, other industries, and then that will trickle down. So there's still some time for your daughter to make it into the industry, but I'm hoping that if you're that first stepping stone, someone else is going to be just like you, because something may click, something may naturally just change where they think, oh, yeah, you know what, I shouldn't be saying those kind of things. And then little by little things will change. So instead of looking at, well, they're not making a change, why should I? Instead of that, you make that conscious effort to make that change, and then slowly more and more will be just like you. And then hopefully by that point, there will be a much better climate for your daughter by the time they're in the industry.
Agreed. If you love your daughter and you care about what people would be saying to her, all you have to think is, would I want someone saying that to my daughter? Would I say that to my daughter? Would I allow that? I mean, if you don't, then you can just do the same thing around other women.
And even just the awareness and sensitivity to what the industry may feel like, even if you are not a female, is a great sense of awareness. Even just being sensitive to the fact that, yes, it is a relatively, right now, very male-dominated industry, but you do want to also encourage more women or, different ethnicities and cultures and all of those things into your workplace. Just the awareness and transparency with yourself is an incredible place to start. So the more, again, paying it forward that you can condone that level of awareness with the individuals that you bring into your organization to also continue that type of energy and the type of individual that's actually working and representing your organization in the office, out of the office, at the job site, all of those things is going to have an impact as far as the other types of individuals that you naturally bring into your company. And I think that is just the acknowledgement that you see that within the industry and that it may potentially even be within your organization is a great place to start.
Absolutely. That cultural change too, because if everyone's watching and implementing and making sure, like, you need to speak up. You can't let things happen. If you see it, even as a woman, as a man, if you see something happening or something that's said that's not appropriate or that you're not okay with, or any action, then we need to speak up and we need to nip that in the butt. And it's a cultural thing. The company should be from the top down working on that.
Yeah, I have a bit of a process. I call it distractions. We all kind of do the same thing, right? We're working hard, we're doing whatever we're hired for. And when these things come up, they're distractions and they take away from what we really should be doing, right? Representing our company, representing our client. And so I think practicing good, appropriate, relevant, fair behavior goes a long way. The more you model it, the more you speak up. If something happens, it takes a lot of courage to speak up, but personally, I can't live with myself if I don't speak up. So I'm the squeaky wheel. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
So I'll wrap up with one question to the panel. Thank you all for the questions. I know we didn't get through a lot of them, but sorry, next year. What is one thing that you would really like to leave the audience with as far as women in AEC and tech? What would you like to leave them with? We don't have to go in order. Anybody can speak up or not.
Earlier, I was talking with my team and we were talking about how leadership takes vulnerability. And when you're vulnerable, it's almost very disarming to the other person. And we talked about how Handshakes came from a long time ago to prove that you didn't have an arm, you weren't armed. So you're providing your hand and showing, I'm a friend. So vulnerability is a big thing to disarm other people and develop that trust.
I love that. That's similar to even the feedback of what we were just talking about as well. And the vulnerability also it creates a stronger, different energy and work environment. I love that.
I'd actually like to ask everyone listening, come just for consideration, come from the perspective of everyone's got either a wife or a girlfriend or a daughter or a sister or a niece. And how do you want that loved one of yours to be treated in AEC or tech? Really think that through. I think checking in with yourself and really your own practice, and it's really a personal thing, but check in with yourself and your practice, and maybe there's some tweaks that you can make so you're modeling and practicing maybe a little bit better behavior or behavior that you would want toward your loved ones that I just mentioned.
Yeah, we just got another comment, which I just want to repeat because I think it's great in the sense of speaking up when someone is out of bounds is everyone's job. Toxicity is toxicity, no matter who it's directed at. I think I'd like to end it there. I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
So, thank you all so much. Thanks for the panel. Thank you, Matt Bird, for allowing me to come back and moderate today. It's been fantastic. And I really encourage you all, the snapping. I like that too. Really encourage you all to come find us, come see us tonight. We'll be at the happy hour. And if there's other questions or topics that you want to explore, not only just women in tech, but just what you could potentially do differently within your organization or anything like that, we'd love to continue the conversation. But thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a really, really great conversation, and thanks all of you.
Thanks.
It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.